Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Resident Evil. So, we are officially in the last four videos of this series. There's really 9 videos for this. I've already recorded the other 3 videos after this one. So, pretty much all they're doing is just doing some more editing just to make sure that everything flows together. There's no long pauses while I'm trying to remember what I'm doing, and there's no, unnecessary detours and stuff like that I take in the game. I just pretty much try to streamline from one corner to the next so we can get things moving and get things situated and done. Something that I completely forgot about that I wanted to comment on was that April 30th was the 22nd, 23rd anniversary for this particular version of Resident Evil. The first one came out in 1998, and then they did an HD remaster that came out for the GameCube in not 19 but 2002. So it's been about 22 years, 23 years since this game has come out. So the anniversary just literally passed yesterday, and I completely forgot about it. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was there. So happy 22nd anniversary to the Resident Evil HD remaster for the GameCube. Yay! There's actually something that I wanted to kind of talk about. I know that I mentioned it in an earlier video, but then I never really got back into it. So the thing I wanted to talk about was an opinion that I saw on Twitter. So this opinion was about Wesker at Lux on Twitter. Basically had this to say about him. Wesker is not the mastermind he thinks he is. He is a brilliant scientist, but not as talented as William Birkin. He is obsessed with Spencer because of his conditioning, and he fled from Umbrella at 37 years old, destroying everything that was truly his in the process. And they put in parentheses stars because Wesker was instrumental in creating the STARS task force because he was tasked by Umbrella with being a part of the RPD, essentially to keep an eye on the chief, who was being paid by Umbrella to kind of look the other way. And so he created the STARS task force and put it and essentially organized it. They go on to say he only escaped from Umbrella's clutches by risking his own life. Birkin, his only friend, supplied him with the T-Wesker, which is essentially the virus that Wesker takes before the end of Resident Evil, this game. He takes that virus and then he dies. And when he comes back to life, he turns into the Wesker that we know. And then later he starts um, injecting himself with like the progenitor virus essentially to stabilize his cells. They posit that William Birkin may have known more than he let Wesker think, but essentially, this was the discomfort he had felt throughout his whole life because he was programmed to seek Spencer out. Nonetheless, despite all of his talk about power and defeating death, despite his intelligence, he never managed to think outside of Umbrella's box. He did horrible things because he was drunk with power and hoped to become a leading researcher. He pretends that he had his own plans devised while in stars, but he would have never escaped if not for that accident with a newly developed strain of the T virus spread by the Queen Leech. For a man who has grand theories about power, his narrative arc shows how dependent he is. Birkin gives him the virus that allows him to fly under Umbrella's radar. He then sells his soul to another organization and another, Tricell, infecting them from the inside like a virus. He deems himself a pragmatic man, yet he clings to the past, and with Chris most notably, to the point it actually becomes a weakness. I should have killed you years ago. He thinks himself above all, but he is the most efficient when he works in a team, which is Ada and Krauser. I forgot that I'm not supposed to walk through this door. And now it's sealed shut behind me. So I cannot leave unless I die. So I'm going to do my best, which is mostly just me running around because I am not equipped to fight Plant 42 currently. So, yeah. Anyway, so this is the thought that I had when my reply is that he did have a warped sense of self because he thought himself better than others. And according to the STARS members, from what we know of the STARS members, is that Wesker was calm, collected, but very cold, very unemotional. And I believe that the Project W did more harm to these children's developments, especially given that they grew up with scientists who were only interested in the end result and not the human aspect of these researches. And so because of that those formative years and that experimentation, it resulted in a traumatic childhood, which when he grew into an adult, um, he kind of just grew up to become a sociopath. Not to say that every child that goes through a traumatic experience becomes a sociopath, but for Wesker specifically, because he grew up in an environment that was definitively science based, it was devoid of love, it was devoid of care, it was devoid of all of the things that would allow for somebody to emotionally grow. He did become one. That's my opinion on it. I do believe that by destroying Umbrella and burning it to the ground, that he was destroying that which destroyed him. Essentially, kind of like hurt people type of deal. And I do think that this plays into the whole Wesker's not a mastermind thing because he spends quite a few years just kind of collecting encrypted data that's been spread around the different umbrella facilities because each umbrella facility has different information and research that's done at them just because, it makes sense not to have everything all in one place. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So it does take quite a few years for him to kind of decide whether or not he was going to start Project W. And I think with all the information that he got and all the things that he knows about himself now, is that, yeah, he's going to essentially do that. But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, like, how much of that is conditioning? Like, how much of that has been sort of like subliminally implanted by Oswald Spencer into the Wesker children, to the surviving Wesker children, that they will essentially carry on his legacy. Because by the time we see Oswald, he's well over 100 years old. He's got machines that are essentially keeping him alive. And that because he failed creating the progenitor virus that he wanted to create back when he was still possibly, assumably young enough to be able to survive the transmutation with it, um, which is why I think when we meet him in five, he's already on the slope to madness when you see him lost in the nightmares. But when you see him in five, he's like fully like Mad King, basically. And I think it's because of the conditioning, because he was ultimately fulfilling Spencer's goal despite the fact that he was like, Ouroboros is my virus. It's like, no, Ouroboros is based off of research that was already done by Spencer long ago. You're just continuing it. Nothing was ever yours.
What the hell is this thing?
Barry!
Jill!
I thought it was finished.
Yeah.
That was close. Thanks again.
Don't mention it. But what was that? What the hell's going on in this place?
Barry.
Something about that mansion still bothers me. But I think I'll stay here a little longer. We should split up again and investigate.
All right.
Now that Plant 42 is done and dusted, we just have to make our way back to the mansion so we can continue essentially opening and exploring different rooms that we now have access to. So we're gonna head there in just a moment, but before we do that, I'm gonna make sure that I got everything that I needed from this residence because we're not gonna come back here after we're pretty much done with this area. So if there's anything that you saw that you wanted to pick up and put in the item box, go ahead and do so now because you're not gonna come back here unless you want to make the trek back from the mansion to the residence, which I wouldn't recommend it.
Wesker.
Jill, so you're safe.
That's what I was going to say.
I apologize. It was all I could do to protect myself against those strange creatures.
I understand. Anyway, it's good that you're safe.
Did you notice? Barry, he sounded a little flaky.
Now that you mention it, yeah. I'll keep a close eye.
Maybe it's quite natural under these circumstances. It's not really our standard operation. Jill, our first priority is to get out of here.
I agree.
There are still rooms in that mansion we can't get into because they're locked up. I've been looking for ways to...
Okay, if there's anything, I'll go back to the other mansion.
I'm counting on you.
Stars Alpha Team. Come in.
This is Jill.
Does anybody hear me?
I hear you, Brad. Over.
Stars Alpha Team. Bravo Team. It doesn't matter. Respond. I repeat, this is Brad.
Brad? Brad!
This is Brad. If you can't answer me, somehow give me a sign.
Jill to Brad. Can you hear me? Brad! Brad! Shit. It's broken.
for reaching the end of the video, so I want to go ahead and say my goodbyes now. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed my kind of like thoughts and opinions. And if you have any opinions on it, just go ahead and leave a comment. Like, I'll read it, I'll try to reply. Um, no guarantees that it'll be immediate, but I will try to reply when I can reply. So yeah, just leave your thoughts. If you agree with what I said, or if you agree ultimately with what Lex on Twitter has said. I'm going to try to upload the rest of the Resident Evil videos so we can finish out this game, so I can focus on Banishers and Alone in the Dark. And then once I'm done with those two, I'm going to start recording Resident Evil 2. And then after that, Resident Evil 3. So then we'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 finished. And ultimately, I want to record Resident Evil Code Veronica, but that'll probably be during the summer. So with that, I'm going to let you go, and I will see you in the next one. You guys have a good rest of your day. Bye.
What the hell is this thing?
Barry!
Jill!
Ah!